What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 688 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk Hot Tags of the Week. I am Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert E. Felice.
What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 688 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm Robert E. Felice, your co-host for the episode.
Callum Wiggins is not feeling too good today, so send him some love. Hopefully feeling a little bit better. Hopefully everybody else is feeling okay, especially given everything. We're going to talk about some different topics here that are going to go back in time a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the Royal Rumble in ways that we didn't already, break down the predictions contest thing, talk about some stuff in the future, because that's kind of what we look forward to. We got releases to talk about, unfortunately. We got predictions for Elimination Chamber, qualifiers, etc., etc. So, as always, we want to know what you have to say. Drop your thoughts in the Discord sections, or whatever the sections of the channels are that you want to join in about. You got Facebook, you got Twitter, you are on potentially YouTube right now. And if you are, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you are subscribed, ring that notification bell, and leave those comments below. If you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, the thanks button is there, the join button is there. It's the same with the Patreon. If you don't know how that is and you're brand new, I'll leave a comment below. Just ask me what's going on. Redbubble and TeePublic, that's where you get your merchandise. There you go. We already got plugs out of the way for all that kind of stuff.
If you're brand new, I'm so sorry. No, look, seriously, like
go back and check out a couple years ago.
Check out episodes from like 3 years ago where we had a little more pep in our step, like a
little more pizzazz instead of spicy zing. I don't know where we should get started as far as like if we just let's go back into the Royal Rumble. Let's do that kind of thing. So I'm going to put up the predictions contest graphic here, but I'll use this for any kind of Royal Rumble related talk because I already deleted the other graphic and I don't feel like putting it back up there. So I'm just transparent. As far as the predictions contest is concerned, I did obviously get a chance to finally break that down and to calculate all the numbers and everything. I still got to figure out a more efficient system for this because I'm not one of those people that knows Excel so well that it's like, oh, I just type in the formula and it does this and that and whatever like that. I can do some of that stuff, but I'm sure somebody out there that knows what the hell they're doing would have been like, this is a 2-second job. Well, it'll take me a little bit more time, but I eventually figured out a good formula and that calculated this. Cannot express more to people that the reason I put on there, make sure you spell names correctly, is because of that. And I don't know how many people put things like may beat Dom. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to be registered as Dominic Mysterio as a pick. Sorry, I'm not manually going through hundreds and hundreds of fields and making sure that everybody typed out things.
But it's J-A-Y.
I don't think I saw that, but I've seen plenty of other like I saw people trying to spell people's names in ways that I never even anticipated. There's Xavier Woods typed out a couple different ways for some people. Ludwig Kaiser was really throwing people off as Ludwig and Ludwig and Kaiser, and surprised somebody wrote Kaiser Roll. People that just wrote like Kofi, and it's like that's not going to show up as Kofi Kingston, you know. Like Braun Breaker, the 2Ks throw people off. But
that I can't blame people for.
I went through.
Say it's been long enough, but it's a stupid spell.
Oh, it's beyond stupid. I mean, he still should have been Rex Steiner, but
maybe we're saving that for Scott's kid.
Maybe. I though said, hey, you know, I'm already putting in the effort to do this. If people can't spell them right, then they get that just wrong. So maybe some other people had some other extra points if I would have manually gone through and done that. But we're looking at how many fields would this have been? This would have been manually going through 3,517 fields. Yeah, I'm not manually doing that. So I have the breakdown now of who won that and the final points tally and all that stuff. I might maybe I'll put something on like Discord or whatever of like the full breakdown of that if anybody's interested. Actually, I should probably just like I can probably show it up on the screen. Let me get the screen capture on. And that's not the right one. There you go. Pause that screen if you really want to see. But the winner of the contest overall is Jalen with 87 points. Number 2 is me. And I was like, man, with 83 points. Just narrowly lost that out, but congrats to Jalen. Rub's bald spot is number 70, is 0.79, so number 3. Demetrios and Frankie get 77 points to be tied for the number 4 spot. The number 5 spot is Alan at 70. And I was able to get these things correct on this for anybody that's curious what points I got. Got some stuff as far as like, winner prediction things and all like wrong. Like I said, Seth Rollins, got that wrong, whatever. But the 1 to 30 type spots, I got Santos Escobar directly on the number 4. I got Drew directly at number 17 and Logan Paul at number 30. I got Io Sky at number 1 and Nikki Bella at number 30. And then I got some adjacent picks of number 14 for both, number 24 and number 28. And the first thing that pops up is Io Sky being number 1. And I was like, all right, I got number 1. I win. Anytime that happens, I always imagine that I'm going to get every single thing correct. And then number 2 comes out and I'm wrong. But I bookended the Royal Rumbles by getting number 30 right on those. So I was proud of that. And
yeah, I mean, it's weird that they didn't have Logan just say, I'm number 30. Because he tried to say, like, I need to be number 30. He should just, I am number 30. Like, Nikki Bella being number 30 was a cool surprise.
So you didn't get a chance to talk about it because you weren't on the post show, but what were your general thoughts about all those things?
So I'll try to be brief. The Women's Rumble I thought was fun. I thought it was a really solid match. I told you Roxanne was coming for that record. I'm surprised I got that on the nose. Both her entering number 3 like Bayley did last year and taking the record. Her being the runner-up, I didn't expect. Charlotte at number 27, I like just because it gives that number another boost. And
now it's back up to being tied with number 30 as the number 1 most winning spot.
And I'm okay with number 30 being the most winning spot because
mathematically it makes some more sense.
Yeah, like it should be. It's kind of like how I think more big guys should win the Rumble, like Big Show. Realistically, he should win. You should not be able to eliminate him easily. I thought the Women's Rumble was fun. I'm expecting Trish to stick around at least through Chamber. I want Nikki Bella featured at WrestleMania, but given the way they've done things, I don't think they're going to do my Nikki wins the women's title from Tiffany idea.
I don't think we're seeing Trish at all, to be honest.
Chambers in Toronto. She'll do something.
Oh, that's right. It is. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I thought the tag match was the number. This is the example I'm using moving forward as a match completely fucked by a dead crowd. Because the match itself was fine. I don't love the way WWE does these, where they rush the first 2 falls. But the match itself was fine. And in any other arena, on any other program, especially one on Wednesday or Saturday night, wink, wink, people would have been creaming themselves. But it followed a Women's Rumble, and people were tired. And, let's be real, maybe not everybody who bought tickets to the Royal Rumble knows who the Motor City Machine Guns are. I think that's a bit of a cop-out, but for an event like the Rumble, maybe it holds true. I would have preferred the Profits just beat up everybody and cause a DQ. I don't know why there had to be a finish. And then they beat up the other guys. But whatever. The ladder match, I think I said this in our group chat, was Cody Rhodes' best championship defense up to this point. We now know it's leading towards Kevin and Sami at WrestleMania, which I think is fine. And I thought it was a really good match. I think it could have been a bit longer, but, I understand they were kind of crunched for time, even with only 4 matches. The Men's Rumble was really latter half heavy.
Yeah.
As there was a moment where you just get, and by the way, it's John Cena, and then it's Punk, and then it's Seth Rollins, and then you're just like, holy shit, this is crazy. One of the best bottom 6, I really enjoyed that. I guess we'll circle back to Drew McIntyre was upset, maybe.
Yeah, we can talk about that with the chamber qualifiers.
I thought as soon as I saw that they kept zooming in on Roman and Rollins, I was like, okay, maybe I'm actually getting my dream match here of Roman and Rollins just fighting a major grudge match at Mania. And yeah, Punk eliminates them, and for 2 seconds you're like, all right, it's at least gonna be Punk runner-up again. And then Logan Paul dumps Punk out, and that was a crazy moment, followed up by a crazy outside the ring brawl, followed up by a crazier Royal Rumble ending because Jey Uso is now headed to WrestleMania. At first, when it got down to the bottom 3, I thought, okay, there's a good chance John Cena throws Logan Paul out last. When they got rid of Logan, I started to go, they're going to give it to Uso, aren't they? Because I just started to feel like there's no way he makes it to the bottom 2 if they don't feel like doing this thing where, oh my God, isn't it crazy that John Cena didn't win? And then I didn't love how he did it. I thought the surfboard stretch pushing Cena out was kind of crazy. I did notice immediately the look on John's face, and I was like,
was that a mistake or
that's different? And then he like rushed the ring, and it looked like 2 seconds like he was gonna beat the shit out of Jey Uso. But Uso wins, Uso celebrates. I will say this, my issue with Jey Uso winning the Rumble doesn't have anything to do with his overness or his ability in the ring. I think both those things are actually top notch. Has he become more of a, hashtag cinema, sports entertainment kind of guy? Yeah, but whatever. I think it's awesome that he won. My issue is that he's not fucking headlining WrestleMania.
Not a chance. Unless it's like they really move a lot of things around the card and make it that night one main event. But even that, I think, is a major stretch.
See, but I think gun to your head, you should be forced. Because I don't like this new thing they're doing. And now that we're a week removed, we can talk about this. They seem to have firmly established, and I'm going to guess this is going to be the case moving forward, that the chamber matches will solely be used to determine the challenger that the Rumble winner does not pick. And my issue is, you had John Cena cut a great promo on the post show, but immediately undercut the Royal Rumble by saying, sucks that I lost. I'm going to win the chamber now and just main event WrestleMania anyway. And I think, as a traditionalist in this way, no, if you won the Rumble, you should be main eventing WrestleMania. Now, removing that aspect of it, I don't like that in character, in universe, it's now just widely accepted of like, haha, no, it is a main event even if it's on in the middle of a card on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Because I say it every year. Stop me if you've heard this one before, Tony. They gaslit you into believing that one 7-hour show was worse than 2 7-hour shows. And all they've done is stretch it out so there's more time for ads and there's more time to go, well, there's 5 main events. It doesn't work that way.
What they really should start doing, and they're not going to, because, again, how many years of this, me saying, I wish people were more transparent, but the reason why people aren't transparent is because they have an agenda. And it's, whether it's politics or it's some other kind of thing too, corporate speak in general applies one way or another. They always will refer to this going forward as we've got like, oh, he's going to main event WrestleMania. She's going to main event WrestleMania when they don't main event, because that sounds better. And the reality of it is what they should be doing, if they are going to be truly honest, everybody has the same philosophy here. Every single person, you can ask people in the company, and I know this for a fact, and you can ask people that are fans, and you can ask, you know, casual fans, or you could ask like pure Smark type fans. Everybody will agree to this. The main event of WrestleMania is what goes on last on night 2. However, if you want to stretch it, the secondary main event of WrestleMania is whatever goes on last on night 1. And if you want to stretch it to a third and fourth option, then the main event number 3 and number 4 options become either the runner-up, like second to last match on those nights, or the opening match, depending on the importance of the match. That's just the fact about it. Like, people can bitch and moan and whatever, but that's a fact. If you open up the show with something like, I don't know, Logan Paul versus AJ Styles, and then you've got the 4 world title matches, that's not a main event. That's just a featured match. And not everything could be a featured match, but everything is a featured match in that kind of way too. But they're going to continue to refer to it as a main event, because that's just going to make it seem better, because the way that they change all their verbiage is going to be like that for everything. It's always like, you know, well, we'll say it's a world title when it sounds more important, and we'll say it's not when it doesn't matter and all. But what they really should say is the winner of the Royal Rumble gets to challenge for the championship of their choosing at WrestleMania, and
False.
Not mention main event.
False. Because I don't like that verbiage. Some motherfucker's going to use it to challenge for the tag titles one year, a la Otis winning Money in the Bank. We're not. I think that the Royal Rumble is sacred and should, and yeah, this is about as nerdy as I'll get for WWE, guys. I think it's sacred. I think one of these days some loser is going to try to be like, well, I'm going to use the Rumble for a U.S. title shot. No. It should at the very least be World Championship.
Now, I agree with you, but the verbiage still should be challenges for a championship of their choosing at Mania, because then you don't have to pigeonhole it as being, well, they are the main event, and then they're not.
And that I agree with, because this is the other part of it I want to get into. Everyone in character is acknowledging the main event's the guy who challenges Cody. That's why you've seen Punk and Rollins and Roman just be like, but I'm going to challenge Cody. And that's why you had John Cena say the words, I haven't main evented WrestleMania since 2013. And that right there tells you everything you needed to know. So, you see, I am somebody who says, no, you should commit Jey Uso and Gunther is the Saturday main event, right? Because at the very least, by virtue of him being the Rumble winner, Gunther would be upgraded to that spot, or Jey Uso should at least make the fucking case for challenging Cody. And yes, as we record this, in about 3 hours, he will be on SmackDown, and he will confront Cody.
Mm-hmm.
But he should make the case for challenging Cody. And I won't fully fantasy book this, but I will tell you that it's not out of the question if you think about the fact that there's enough history there. You know? There's and for Jey specifically, the argument should be made, hey man, that thing on your shoulder has completely torn my family apart, and you tell me right now why I want that. At least make the case, is my argument.
Yeah, even though we know it's going to be Gunther.
even though we know it's gonna be Gunther, even though we know it's gonna be in the middle of the fucking Sunday show, or I'm sorry, false. It'll open the Sunday show.
See, I think it's going to either open up night one, or it's going to be second to last on night one.
I think it's opening Sunday. Here, and I'll tell you right now, here's the way I think this is going to go. Real quick. I think closing night one on Saturday, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I think that's closing night one on Sunday. I think at some point on Saturday, on Saturday, I think at some point on that show on Saturday, you're going to have Punk, Rollins, Roman, and somewhere along the line, they're going to make the rule, whoever wins that match is fighting either Cena or Cody. And I think that's going to be their roundabout way of trying to get everyone their happy ending. Because as it stands right now, as cool of the match as it is on paper, Punk, Roman, Rollins, why do any of them want that?
Right. It's not really serving that much of a purpose because it's not for anything. And it also wouldn't even include Drew McIntyre, the guy that's really kind of one of the linchpins of this whole thing.
That's another thing.
He's way more, and it should be more, if it's going to be three of them, it should be Drew, Seth, and Roman, not Punk.
Well, I like the idea of Punk, like, Punk just can't get away from Rollins. And because Rollins, even on Raw, was like, really has just made it clear he can't stand CM Punk. I like the idea of the favor. I don't like that they're shoehorning Roman in there with Punk. Because it's just like, okay, now you're like forcing it.
Actually, have they even addressed the favor since the Royal Rumble? Did they say anything on Monday?
Since the Royal Rumble, no.
I wonder if they're going to drop that.
You think they're just going to drop it?
I could see it being the case. Because what's the favor going to be? Can't be like for a title that Roman has no title.
Yeah. You see, and that's actually another point I want to get to, which is why I don't like what they're doing with the chamber, where it's like, oh, well, now from moving forward, the champions just won't defend beyond the Royal Rumble. Because I like, in years past, even if it hasn't always been the cleanest, like I'll give you a 2009, a 2010, even, a 2013 with Rock and Punk. You can use the chamber as a way to shake everything up. Just because, like, for example, in 2010, the WWE Championship match was Sheamus and Randy Orton at the Rumble. By the time you get to Mania, it was Batista Cena. You can actually use your 5,500 hours of programming to change things to where you get the belts where they need to go. Like, it doesn't have to be, well, Gunther beat Jey Uso at Saturday Night's Main Event. That's another thing I don't like, by the way. We just saw the match. If you knew that's where you were going for Mania, maybe you just don't do the match. Or
I'm fully convinced what they think that they're doing is the Triple H Shawn Michaels booking that we've been talking about.
Oh, he just got a shot. He lost. He'll get the second shot.
And then he wins, and it's going to be, wow, he can't win the first shot because what's going to happen is people are going to boo if he wins the first, but if he has quote unquote adversity that he overcomes.
I don't like that. Like,
it seems like that's their trope. And they think that they're doing Kofi Mania. They think that they're doing Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. They think that they're going with the underdog guy is winning the championship over the dominant heel in a way that people are going to go nuts, and it's going to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened in WrestleMania history. And it's like, I like Jay.
People are going to go nuts. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a pop. And it could absolutely close night 2 in terms of the pop that it will get. The problem is you won't follow through. You'll be like, yeah, that was a cool moment. Anyway, back to Cody. Or back
and
to
it'll
Roman.
be Jay has like a 3-month title reign, and they're already bored with it, and they're trying to figure out who's going to beat him for it.
Right.
Who might be Drew McIntyre. It might be CM Punk. It might be whatever. They might not have a plan for it yet. Could be Sami Zayn. Could be, I don't know, anybody. I don't think that they've planned it out that far, but I am pretty certain that that's going to be one of those things that they think is going to go over differently. And I also think that they're not thinking clearly about how John Cena versus Cody Rhodes is going to lead to people booing both. And then if Cody retains, people are going to be annoyed at Cody going forward. And if Cena wins the title, people are going to be like, oh, of course John Cena beat Cody, you know?
I disagree. I think they're setting... That's one thing that on Monday Night alone, they set up perfectly. Because they're starting to set up that Cody's losing his mind, being the guy. And John Cena, I don't know if you've gone back to watch the promo, probably not.
The press conference thing?
Yeah. He really made it a point to be like, okay, my bad. I've been trying to be Mr. Smiley Face. I'm now going to be a 17-time champion because it's best for business. And I'm looking at a main event of WrestleMania where I can see either guy low blowing the other. And
ending with a big heel thing.
I'm looking at it where I can see Cena going, there's no way in hell that I'm not breaking this record. And I can see Cody going, I've had enough of this. So that I'm interested in that story. The thing with Jay is, like you said, they think they're doing Kofi Mania. Kofi Mania was special because it came out of the blue. Literally out of the blue. Let's not act like Jey Uso hasn't been a main event guy. You know, main event Jey Uso is not just a nickname. He's headlined SummerSlam with Roman. He's headlined Money in the Bank by beating Roman. Like, he's actually a main event guy. This isn't like, it wasn't the obvious answer, but it wasn't super far off. It was just super far off for this year's Rumble because of the focus on Cena and Roman and other people. But Jay absolutely is going to be a world champion and was going to be world champion regardless. My issue is, I don't want to look back on this the way we look back on Nakamura, which is, where is he now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then it'll be like, but he won the world title, so he's got that in the record books. And, you know, we'll do the Finn Balor thing of, remember everybody, Finn Balor is a world champion for 24 hours.
Yeah, and then he'll never do anything again.
Yep.
But overall, I thought the Royal Rumble was exciting. Again, we are going to circle back to some points, but I was glad to see the return of Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad to see
a lot of her in the Wyatt family.
It does look like Lily is just here to stay.
Ugh.
I did like the jacket that said
Friends forever, but Fiend forever.
Yeah, I did like cool. That. That's very sentimental. But now here's where I guess we can get into the... how'd you say you want to get into McIntyre with the Chamber qualifiers?
Well, before we do that, let me toss out a couple other Royal Rumble based things, because anybody that is into the statistics side of it, there are some different things that needed to be adjusted on the statistics page, which of course go to smarkmoma.com/p/WWE Royal Rumble statistics records.
Doing an article this time around, I actually used smarkmoma.com because I need to know how many times somebody won from number 27.
Did you credit it?
I can't actually credit you for saying, because it's just the history that says somebody's won, but I credit you now as saying thank you.
I think you need to go back and add a link into that. But anybody that wants to click on that page, some different little adjustments here and there that happened. We've got, obviously, like, some stuff is still in the waiting wings of, like, you know, Charlotte and Jey Uso going to win that Mania, that kind of thing. But yeah, number 30 and number 27 are both now tied as the most lucky numbers to win in the Royal Rumble once again. We, of course, have Charlotte Flair is the first ever 2-time winner for the women's division. So she gets that little accolade added to her list. If you adjust all the numbers and everything, it's a lot of them are relatively close to the same. Like, the amount of most eliminations per Royal Rumble basically just changed decimal points and all. The most cumulative eliminations at this point, Braun Strowman has upped his game, and so has Roman Reigns, to the point that they are both tied number 3. Still Glenn Jacobs number 1, Taker and Michaels number 2, and then Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Steve Austin at 36 eliminations, and some other people got bumped up too. Nia Jax overtook the most cumulative women's elimination spot at 28, and she also now has a new record that I didn't even have calculated before, of most collective eliminations at one time, is what I'm classifying it, where she took 5 people out in one shot.
That was I didn't like that.
Could have been done better.
Nia go, I've eliminated 25 people.
The time records, as mentioned, Roxanne Perez overtook the women's longest record. Penta got the most for the men, but that's not the overall. At this point, the cumulative Royal Rumble time, still Chris Jericho at the top. Rey Mysterio really working his way up to that spot, though. He's got 20 minutes difference between him and Jericho. So if Rey lasts 20 more minutes in a Royal Rumble at this point, he's going to end up being number 1. And Randy Orton still got about 20 minutes. Randy Orton is number 3. Cody Rhodes is number 4, et cetera, et cetera. Most of those Royal Rumble stuff, you can all find that on smarkmamba.com, everybody. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and do that.
By the way, I wasn't watching at the time of you guys talking about the beginning of the Rumble. Where did he stand on a Pentagon? Did his feet hit the floor immediately or no?
Oh, it totally did. Yeah, no question about it. He hit the floor and they just pretended like he didn't.
Well, I thought that he lifted it up quick enough where it was like, okay, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But
maybe, like, what are we gonna have, like a millimeter of a difference?
That was insane. The opening of that match, where it was just like, oh God, they're really flirting with that 2 feet rule this year.
Actually, let's bounce just over to the predictions for the qualifiers and stuff, because we're on the roll with this kind of discussion. So we do know some of the Elimination Chamber stuff already. Like John Cena, of course, immediately said, hey, I'm going to be in the chamber and I don't need to qualify because I'm John Cena. And CM Punk beat Sami Zayn, leaving 4 spots open. Tonight, we're going to get a qualifying match. Seemingly, it's Drew McIntyre and LA Knight and...
That's funny. I didn't know that, actually. That's news to me.
Oh, about the qualifiers?
I didn't know we were getting that tonight.
Yeah, WrestleVotes put out Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Jimmy Uso in a triple threat.
Oh.
So I would assume, given that breakdown, that Drew McIntyre makes the most sense.
I think McIntyre makes the most sense. I can see them going with Jimmy and trying to make it like, hey, will both Usos make it to, I can see them wanting to do that, but I don't think that payoff, which is obviously Jimmy Uso's not winning. But I think it's going to be McIntyre. I think we're going with All-Star lineup. I think they're going to want to look at this in years down the line and go, yeah, this is one of the most stacked chambers of all time.
Now, the Drew McIntyre and LA Knight side of that doesn't include Damian Priest. It's Jimmy Uso instead. But the whole Royal Rumble thing about potentially Drew McIntyre being upset with the way that went down, and seemingly from the reports being upset more at LA Knight, which to me, when I look back at that, Logan Paul's showboating. LA Knight is getting ready to do his spot with Logan Paul. And it seems perfectly valid that they were doing what they were doing, both of them. And then it almost looks like Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are the ones that rush their spot to do it in between what they're doing. So if I was backstage and Drew McIntyre's bitching and complaining about LA Knight trying to get his stuff in, I'd be like, no, he was doing the things he needed to do right then, and you rushed and didn't want them to stop what they were doing, which makes no sense because they were the featured thing in the center of the screen. Now, that's if it's true, because a lot of other things have been coming out about like that was not a thing at all. And I believe that way more than Drew McIntyre being all pissy and, throwing some fit backstage.
And in typical Robert DeFelice fashion, guess where I'm going, folks? Right in the middle. Because I can believe that Drew McIntyre was pissed. Too many legit, like, if Johnson and Sean are saying it, I believe that more than if it's just coming from Dave, who it feels like they're just trying to feed him some bad stuff. See Alexa
like
Bliss.
stuff with Bliss.
Which in our group chat, I was like, well, what did they say? And then I immediately hear Michael Cole go, I thought she wasn't coming back. Maybe stop reading the dirt sheet, which is like, that sucks. But I can believe that he was upset, but I can also believe that not even the people reporting it, but the aggregators and the people who are then doing videos on it blow it out of proportion to make it seem like, yeah, he was ready to quit the company, regardless of who he was upset at. He's allowed to be upset if the moment where he gets eliminated gets less shine because Logan and LA Knight are taking too long or whatever. Because it was legitimately one of the more shocking moments that he wasn't one of the final 5 people. Because he's been such a top guy. But I don't know. I don't buy that it was never a thing at all. I'll say that. But I definitely don't buy that it was the big thing that people were trying to make it out to be.
So we only have 5 spots for the 4 spots for the Elimination Chamber on the men's side, and obviously not everybody that's going to potentially qualify can fit in those spots because that's math. But
I remember now in 2018 they did give us the 7-man chamber, so
that's right, they did play around with that a little bit, but it seems like it's just going to be boiling down to those. And I am working under the assumption that there's a chance that they could do. Well, all right, I'm approaching this in a poor way. Let me backtrack. Liv Morgan qualified for the Women's Elimination Chamber, and we've got 5 spots left for that. She beat Io Sky for it, and we know that we're going to get Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria, and it seems like Bliss versus Candice LeRae, Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven, and then the other spots on the men's: Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. So with those things in mind, I am working under the assumption Bayley beats Lyra because Lyra gets some kind of thing going on with Ivy Nile because they're trying to set her up with the Women's Intercontinental title. Logan Paul beats Rey Mysterio. Bianca beats Piper Niven. Bliss beats Candice LeRae. But I still think that Io is going to get into the match through some kind of a last chance thing.
No, one of the matches has already been announced. There's Roxanne and Raquel.
Oh, that's another one? I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
When did they announce that?
Let me check Fightful.com. I know it's there. I know that because I saw it called in the Slack chat. She's going to compete on Raw.
That's weird. I don't know why they
announced.
Well, then again,
oh my God, Tony.
Then again, if you go on the WWE.com/news, they'd spell preview wrong too.
You want to know where they announced it? On This Week in WWE on Peacock with Scott Stanford and Megan Moran.
So they announced it there and then don't put it up on the website that they have these things listed on with typos. My God, why? It's not that fucking hard to run a website. Come on. So what I was getting at before was Sami Zayn could get in here with a last chance thing, but they seemingly wrote him off TV with the package pile driver. And it's very clear they wrote Roman Reigns off of this because it was like, well, Roman's not winning and we don't want him to get pinned.
Yeah, but I don't know, because I was thinking last chance qualifier for Io. Right. But now that it seems like all of the other spots are filled, maybe not.
I guess not. And that's kind of weird.
Which means we'll circle back to what I think, is going to happen with Charlotte.
Well, actually, wait, would that be? Because it's, let's say, Bayley, Bliss, Bianca, Liv,
and
Roxanne, and Raquel, you said?
Yeah.
That's 5. So there would still be one more spot.
Bailey, Bliss, Liv, right? Roxanne,
Bianca.
And is there still? Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe there is still the spot for EO. That's
Which could be the last chance thing where it's like, all right, you give Lyra, Candice, Piper, EO, and I'm assuming Raquel or Roxanne, whoever loses that. You put them in a last chance fatal 4-way or fatal 5-way, and EO wins that or something. But Elimination Chamber is something that we still, maybe they throw us a little curveball here. Maybe like Piper beats Bianca, then I end up being like, all right, well, I didn't see that coming. Or maybe Candice beats Alexa Bliss or something, or we'll see. But
yeah, I can see Bliss just go. Bliss is honestly, now that she's back in the game, remember, Charlotte's already got a spot. If we think about our old rule of never counting out Bliss, Bliss and Bianca immediately spring to mind as the top 2 who can win there. And I got to be honest with you, Tony, I'm beginning to think they're just saving Becky for the night after Mania.
It could be the case. And you know what? If she doesn't have something planned that's really particularly amazing, I'm fine for it. Like, I'm not interested in Becky versus Rhea again. So if they don't want to do Becky Lyra, I can't think of anything I really want to see Becky do for Mania. But now post Mania, well, then you can start a feud with almost anybody and it would be like, oh, okay.
So I'll be upfront. Like I said before, I don't love this idea of like Rhea and Gunther and Cody and Tiff don't have to defend their titles. I don't like that. And maybe who knows? Maybe Tiffany gets to do a feud with
Nia.
No, definitely not Nia.
Well, Tiffany and Nia should happen before Mania.
I'm still thinking it's Trish. Until I see otherwise, I think Trish in Toronto women's title is probably a go. Unless they want to have her fight Chelsea.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I think.
So I think Trish is getting a title match. The fun part now is that we have other titles that she can potentially go for. But because I don't love the idea of like, okay, so Rhea just gets to sit around, because maybe it could be Rhea, EO, Chamber, and then Charlotte should just fight Rhea. Because as I said to you privately, that promo on Raw, I might have even said this. Did I say it on a podcast? I feel like I don't remember. But that promo on Raw made Rhea look like a punk.
Mm.
And if they just do the thing like Ronda did to poor Becky, where she just punks her out and then goes, "Now I'm fighting Charlotte," I don't think that's a good look for Rhea, who is a much bigger star than Tiffany is. Just de facto. People love Rhea Ripley. Non-wrestling fans love Rhea Ripley. She shows up on everybody's TikTok feed, and everybody's in love with this woman. She should get the match with Charlotte, if only because they're 1-1 at Mania. The story's there. I don't want to see Charlotte versus Tiff because solely based on the idea of Charlotte keeps saying she's got time to make a decision. Like, okay, I got it the first time you dropped the hint. I don't want to see that match though, because I think, where does that leave Rhea? Or is it just, hey, shut up, Bianca wins the Chamber, it's Bianca Rhea, shut up.
I agree.
Because that could be the option, honestly. And then it's, hey, this is gonna open night 1. Shut up. Like, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that's probably where we're going, isn't it?
I don't know. I still think we're getting the straightforward Jay Gunther, Cody Cena, Charlotte, Tiffany, and then Rhea. I don't know.
As I said that out loud, and seeing as they're obsessed with symmetry, I'm guessing men's champions aren't defending at Chamber, right? It'll be Tiff, Trish, and then it'll be Rhea Io at Chamber. Bianca wins the Chamber itself, and then Charlotte challenges Tiff, and then you get Jay Gunther, Cody Cena, Rhea, Bianca, Charlotte, and Tiffany.
And where's Jade Cargill come in there?
At some point, due to jealousy that Bianca has now won the championship match opportunity, Naomi will turn on her, leading to Jade to come back, and they can either have some of the time on one of the nights of Mania, or because WWE isn't likely to do those kinds of matches, they have never done a non-title women's grudge match, they can either fight on WrestleMania SmackDown, not my preferred, but they could, or they get thrown into a multi-woman for the US title.
Something that I'm getting a little bit suspicious about is, because I think we're getting, if we get Tiffany defending the title at any point before Mania, I think she's fighting Nia. I don't see the Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus thing. I think Trish against Chelsea has a really good, strong chance of happening. But I'm getting very suspicious that they're going to try to say it was Chelsea and Piper that took out Jade. And that they're going to go Jade Cargill versus Chelsea Green at Mania.
Oh, God, that's so...
That way, Jade wins the mid-card title, and they don't have to put her in, like, the top spot.
Wait, hold on. Because Jade was in a match, right? For the U.S. title tournament. She got replaced by Lash. But who won that match? Which one did Chelsea win? What I'm saying, I need to try to figure out.
Women's United States Championship Tournament. I don't think it was that match.
But she could have also capitalized on Bianca just...
No, Chelsea beat Bianca and Blair.
By capitalizing on Bianca running away, because that would have obviously been a Bianca win.
But the Lash Legend replacement, that was Lash Legend, supposed to be Jade Cargill, Meechin,
against Piper and
Niven.
If it wasn't for the fact that they have Naomi being so shady, I'd feel like there's a good shot that you're onto something really strong.
I'm going to put that out there as my little prediction that we're getting Chelsea versus Jade.
I like that, though. I like that idea. But I at this point, and if those are the 4 world title matches, those are actually, they're strong matches except for Charlotte and Tiff. And that's not a knock on Tiff. It's just like, all right, Charlotte against anybody, he has to win. And I just think she's going to. So I immediately don't feel anything for the woman she's challenging, because it just feels like it's a Charlotte win. Still, that Rhea Ripley promo really bothered me, because right or wrong, it was completely out of character for her. She's practically begging her, like, you need to pick me. You need to... What? I thought you were on top. I thought you were mommy. What the fuck are you begging Charlotte Flair to fight you for?
Last time that you begged Charlotte to pick you, you lost.
She beat you in an empty performance center. Like, what are you doing?
Made you tap out and cry, or whatever it was.
But see, that's a little more reason I think that should be the match. But knowing what we know, I think Bianca's just going to win the Chamber.
I'm currently also dancing around the idea that I could see, if it's not Bianca doing that and just Bianca Rhea for the sake of doing that, which they haven't really set up well enough for me, I could see a scenario where it's a triple threat of Io, Liv, and Rhea. and them just continuing this Liv and
Nah,
Rhea thing.
I think Liv's. I think Liv and Rock are
Tag
squarely in the tag title.
They should
will be walking into WrestleMania with the tag team championship.
And it could be Io. She could get in the match in a last chance thing, win it, and then it's Io or Rhea, which is definitely not main eventing one of those nights, but you know.
Yeah, and by the way, we probably only have like a year before people really start complaining. If they don't have anything strong for this year, that is. When's the next time a woman's going to headline?
At least main one. Yeah. We talked about Charlotte a little bit here. Let's mention this. Andrade and Charlotte are filing for divorce.
So they had filed in June, I believe it was, and a judge signed off on it in October. So they are officially divorced.
Just came out around now, maybe because Charlotte's
back, so teams reported it.
Yeah, to capitalize on that front, but obviously we don't know anything about like the personal stuff, and that's not our place to say anything of that. But it's interesting that they're both on the same brand.
Oh, see, that was all the more reason I thought Charlotte to Raw. Like, my mind keeps saying it makes more storyline sense right now if she just goes to Raw. But who knows? Maybe Andrade is the mystery man that's going to teach Chad Gable the dark arts of Lucha Libre.
I could see that being a case.
With his black mask.
I could 100% see that being the case. And I think that could potentially lead to some sort of a tag match at Mania or some kind of one-on-one thing or whatever. But knowing that they
Dom. I want it to be Dom and Chad against Ray and Penta in a hair versus mask tag match.
I am starting to think that it's going to be Dom, Andrade, and Chad
against Ray, Dragon Lee, and
Penta.
Yeah, poor Ray Phoenix.
Because they do really like putting Ray and Dom together and doing that whole thing.
If they do it again, it's like, okay, are you just going to fight your dad at WrestleMania every year? Because last year they rushed and forced it.
Right.
Which I thought was like...
And it would be like, oh, it's Andrade with Dom and all that all over again, you know? But I could see it.
It's not a bad...
This is not a Mania that I think is making a lot of sense as far as like booking from months ago. I think that they are starting to book this Mania basically like mid-December.
Well, now, Hunter claims that the main event has been penciled in, and I think that's true, but I think that main event was hey, Cena, you're fighting Cody.
That's what I kind of picture, is that they were like, here's our backup plan if it's not The Rock. And that's it.
And that's the other thing. I think The Rock fucked up a lot.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're okay with it is because they're like, we got John. It's his last WrestleMania. That'll carry us through.
Yep. So, I mean, the Andrade and Flair divorce thing, it doesn't seem like it's going to be impacting anything yet, but that could always change too. So it's something.
And nor should it. I mean, look, realistically, if they've known since October and we're in February, you had time to think about what the moves were going to be here.
Right. And, there are such things as amicable divorces. So maybe they just like, cool. Hey, it's not working out and we're friends now.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case because, sucks when it's not. Let's talk about, talk about this unfortunate one. Duke Hudson was released by WWE.
Oh, that's a really interesting one. Because he gets released. As always, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp is the one who reports it. And he puts in the report, no reason was given. And then, like, immediately, you and I and, the people who are, like, the naysayers of the world are just like, oh, does this mean that Riley and Thea were quietly released as well? It doesn't appear that's the case. And Duke Hudson would release a video where he's like interviewing himself on a podcast. And he would go so far as to say, you weren't part of a group that was released. They specifically don't like you. And I'll get back to the video in a second. But just right there, like making that solo decision to release him. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I could see exactly why he would think that. And I don't blame him for putting that out there to be like, yeah, this just feels like it's just a shot at me to be like, we don't like you and you're gone. Because if it's a group of people, then it's a cost-cutting thing. But to not even release Riley and Thea, which like I'm not advocating for that, but like to not even do that is like singling somebody out and saying you're not worth continuing to pay for.
Like we had, like you aren't living up to a certain thing that we had in mind for you.
Yeah. And when one person gets singled out, and I could speak to this as a part of like, okay, well, this is a cost cutting thing and it's just you, then there needs to be reasons why. Sometimes it's, hey, I don't personally get along with you out of everybody. Sometimes it's, hey, you cost more than everybody and you are,
and
you know,
you're not worth what we're paying you.
Getting rid of you is the same as getting rid of 3 other people. Or, you know, like when you release like a Bray Wyatt, for instance, when they released him and Braun Strowman and stuff, like those were big contracts. So yeah, you get rid of Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, that's like getting rid of half of the NXT roster. But Duke Hudson had been around for 6 years in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And he most likely wasn't getting paid a ton of money if he was still on an NXT contract. They probably just said, we're kind of tired of investing in him. And for some reason, we think that the little bit of money that we're paying you is not worth it. And we'd rather just, we don't have Chase U around anymore. So you're not serving much of a purpose there.
Well, and let's talk about his trajectory as well, too, because he was the replacement for Bodie Hayward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who
it was like him and Riley were kind of like half and half the replacement, because Riley was like the young guy, whereas Duke was the, okay, we're actually going to do something with him. Because they really didn't do fuck all with Riley Osborne.
And when they released Bodie, he said in interviews since that they were straight up like, you're not taking this seriously enough. And that's why they cut him. With Duke, it did feel like he was being set up for the turn that eventually came via Ridge.
Yeah, it's really strange, right?
And maybe that's a sign of like, actually, and this is just me talking out loud and theorizing. This is my opinion. But as I'm going through this in my head, Thea and Riley had a romance angle / Thea's going through a bad girl phase angle that they also just kind of dropped. Maybe they got to a point with Chase U where like, you guys are good at this, but we're not getting what we want out of certain evolutions for you guys. So maybe they just decided we'll leave it as is and then we'll cut bait when we can. That's me thinking as I go through what these stories have been.
Now, I don't want to be like, hey, I'm Mr. advocating for people to lose their jobs, but I do look at a release like a Duke Hudson and I go, why did you feel the need now to be like, we've reached our limit and adios for just you, when there are a lot of other people that have been in NXT for a long time and we're consistently doing less? Like, again, put it out there. I'm not saying fire these people. They should be destitute and, bagging groceries for a living. But Duke Hudson was there for 6 years and they used him prominently and he was a tag team champion. What's the investment there compared to Dante Chen? What's the investment there compared to Idris Enofe and Malik Blade? What's the investment there compared to somebody like a Javier Barnell? Or
so in all 3 of those instances that you just explained, there have been injuries, which, as we know, WWE cannot release someone while they're injured. Specifically, Dante Chen just underwent surgery.
What about Ora Mensa?
He is going to be on Evolve.
And what about, like, realistically speaking, if you want to talk about how long has it been since the Gallus boys have been there and they haven't really been doing all that much in a while, but they just happen to have some people that like them.
This is just me speaking out loud. I think they got a job for life because they trained The Rock for WrestleMania last year.
And like, I don't really see much of an upward movement for Ridge Holland too much to where like they had to put him back down to NXT. So like,
I think he's winning the title next week.
He very well could, especially because, hey, that's his second time trying to get it.
I think Izzy Dame's going to help.
I think she's going to help him too. Yeah. It's funny how much we could just be like, all right, whatever. But then like even in the women's division, like there are people that have been around there for just as long, if not longer than the Duke Hudson. And yeah, it sucks to see somebody get released in that kind of capacity where, not that I would want anybody to, but at least if you have a group of like 3 or 4 people, then you're like, all right, it's a cost cutting thing.
So in taking your hypothetical, or not your hypothetical, but in taking your question, again, I feel the need to say we're not advocating for anyone in any circumstance to lose their job. But I think perhaps the mindset is, hey, dude, we have given you chance after chance after chance since NXT 2.0 started. And, you're specifically not coming back with the results that we thought you would have.
You think it's more so the fact that they did give him a bigger spotlight means that he's had more of a chance and he didn't do it. So that means there's not much more we can do. Whereas somebody like a Dante Chen
can always,
we only really are putting you on level up. So what do we really expect from you?
Right.
I can see that.
Because there was a point where Brendan Vink.
Yeah, he went by Brendan Vink, his real name, Elliot Sexton, Duke Hudson, and there was another name. I'm forgetting what it was. Tony Modra.
I remember Tony Modra. Brendan Vink was on Raw for 5 seconds.
Yeah, Paul Heyman was a big fan.
With MVP. Boy, I want to get those stories. The like 2 weeks that Paul Heyman was the executive producer of Raw, where it was like, and he likes Ridge Holland, and he likes Brendan Vink, and he likes. Love those stories.
Let's put Bianca Belair up there. Let's put Austin Theory. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Angel and what was it? Angel and somebody else. I forget who.
Humberto.
Was it Berto at that time? Were they teaming up? I didn't think that they were.
No, they weren't. It was Angel. What he was fighting Berto for a while, and then I think they started teaming up. And one of them had to miss, and that's how Theory got the spot.
What a weird era.
So crazy.
So, as far as like Duke Hudson popping up next somewhere, I think that, funny enough, the best spot for him would be TNA.
Potentially TNA. I'm more interested in the bit he's doing right now, where he's like
interviewing himself.
Yeah, and the one side is trying to be like, I'm happy for my friends, and the other side's like, can you just admit that you wasted 6 fucking years of your life there? What did you do? Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes.
Now, as far as some other people in the NXT sphere, Fandango popped up. That was not expecting that at all. He's going to fight for the Heritage Cup next week, which also on top of that, Lexis King changes the rules for the Heritage Cup, where it's not going to be the British Rounds rules anymore. It's not going to be the point system. It's going to be, as they had him clarify it, one fall, winner takes all, aka it's the same as every other championship. It's just a trophy instead of a title belt. Now, that's one step closer to, we don't need this fucking title.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
And I am hoping that by the end of this year, at the very least, the Heritage Cup gets transformed into another championship.
I would like, that's a good point, because I like tertiary titles. I think that they're important. I think that, every division needs something to fight for, and that includes the opening match guys. And that's why I liked when, Al Snow even had a European title or a hardcore title to fight for. I think it just makes everything better. But if you're not feeling the Heritage Cup, make it a TV title. Make it. How about this? Take a page out of TNA's book, the NXT Digital Media Championship.
I'm not going to advocate for those because I don't like those, but I would be down for them to be like, that's the... Hell, you know what? Call it the NXT Level Up Championship. You don't have Level Up as a show anymore. Call it that. Or call it the Evolve Championship, and then maybe you have it defended over there.
Evolve is now its own thing, and they're making it very clear that this is for independent wrestlers affiliated with WWE ID that they're fighting for a shot on NXT, and maybe one day, if they're good, they'll get to the main roster. They're really clearly stating this is the WWE show, but this is beneath everything else.
At least they're honest about it.
I give them credit for it, and I'm gonna ask you this straight up: what is Tubi? And do they have live channels?
I don't fucking know.
I'm serious.
You know what Tubi is? It's the reason why I was complaining the other day about, oh my God, I'm sick and tired of how now at this point you're going to need TBS, TNT, Peacock, Max, USA Network, CW Network, Netflix, and Tubi. Fuck you.
Well, Tubi is free, to be fair. Not a pun. But if I go to my TV right now and I go to Tubi, I'm not sure that they have live channels. So my question and by the way, Tubi is a huge deal. I'm not being funny. There are the people who, don't get cable or whatever, they just rely on the free stuff. They love this. I don't get it, but sure. Okay, so they do have a live TV option. So maybe that there will be a WWE Evolve channel or whatever. Okay, because I needed to make that make sense because I'm now going to try to watch this. By the way,
that's another question. It's going to be set for the premiere is March 5th for anybody that's wondering.
It's new episodes every Wednesday. They made it clear
at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, meaning that it's going to head with AEW Dynamite. Now, head to head in the sense of how many people are really going to be watching we're not even signed to WWE no-name rookie roster group versus the flagship show of AEW that are pro wrestling fans. But are they going to tape this ahead of time and air it at 8 p.m.? Are they going to record it the way that Level Up and 205 Live was before NXT? Or are they going to air it live?
Have you looked at the commercial at all?
I did, but I don't fucking remember.
It looks like they're
every week is a fucking month at this point.
It looks like they're fighting in an empty arena.
Huh.
It's weird, but I'm intrigued. I'll say this, and as annoyed as Tony is with having to have multiple things, I give them credit for covering every fucking conceivable outlet you can possibly have.
They have speed and
They have network TV with the CW. They have cable with USA. They've got cable, by the way, because you got a whole slate of programming on Sunday on
A&E shit too. That's right. Oh my God.
They've got an exclusive contract with Twitter, X, or whatever. They've got Hulu has their own reality show and main event, and now they've got Tubi. At a certain point, you have to go, Jesus Christ, you just cover every base, and there's an admirable quality to that.
So my question to you, are you going to be watching both at the same time?
Not a fucking chance.
I, of course, am going to have to make that decision based off of whether or not they tape this in advance.
Dynamite, and I highly doubt you're going to watch WWE Evolve.
I highly doubt I'll pick that over Dynamite, but at the same time, I might have to do coverage for it, which might end up being the type of thing where I might end up having to watch that, record Dynamite, and start watching Dynamite at 9.
That's so crazy. Well, you could do that, actually. I've seen the way you watch Dynamite. You can easily do that.
Every wrestling show, you can skip forward at least like half of the show.
Unless you're doing actual, like,
See, if you're doing match by match, like move by move type commentary.
Not even that. Like, nowadays, you're like, oh shit. During minute 4 of that match, Michael Cole said on commentary that WrestleMania is in Saudi next year, and that's the story.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. So let us know in the comments, are you going to be watching Dynamite or are you going to be watching Evolve, aka to be or not to be?
That is the question.
That is the question. To come back to NXT, though, Lexis King changes those rules. Fandango returns. It's very cool. I don't anticipate Fandango winning that title. But they also have some people being teased for Vengeance Day that we now have those little SMPT color bars switched from WWE Transmission to Vengeance Day. And now we saw a silhouette of 4 people. And I was taken aback at first because I thought that what they had shown was Bo Dallas's face, like the beard, and the like dreadlocks kind of thing that Dexter Lumis has going on. And then I quickly saw the 4 silhouettes and I was like, oh, is this Wyatt Six? That doesn't make any sense. And then when I finally got a chance to like go back and rewind it, I'm like, all right, it's not them. It seems like the group is a bunch of people that nobody fucking knows. Saquon Sugars, Keanu Carver, potentially Dion Lennox, Cutler James. I saw some people trying to suggest that it was Ricky Starks, but he's not let out of his contract, so it's not going to be the case.
That as well.
To debut 4 people, if it's Dion Lennox, then he's the one that's been by default the guy that people would know the most, but they barely would know him because he's only been on like 7 episodes of NXT. Then that's kind of wild to me. To be like, we're going to make a big angle for these guys. So they must see something in at least one of them to be like the leader of this group. I'm worried it's going to be a retribution thing, though, where they just, 4 people that we don't know, come in, they attack somebody, they do something or whatever, and then it ends up being like, all right, nobody gives a shit about them because who the fuck are they?
I still think they can easily make this work as long as they have a strong leader. My thing is always going to be like, you can't write everything off from minute 1 and be like, well, nobody knows who they are, so nobody cares. Because you're never going to care about Cale Dixon. Not that I know, and I don't think he's in the group, but you'll never care about Cale Dixon if you immediately go, well, he's Cale Dixon, so we don't need to care about him. You got to like try to let them grow. And then if it inevitably sucks, then it inevitably sucks. You can't do anything about that aspect of it. But for now, I'm willing to give it a chance and to see who they go for and where they go. Because maybe they go for Obafemi and you've got a brand new story for Stand and Deliver. Or maybe they attack Fraxium. I don't know.
Yeah. Some other little bits and pieces of stuff here. Shout out to Bully Ray for calling attention to the stupid thing that Moxley had said about the shut up and trust us and enjoy the damn ride, where he said, are we supposed to just sit back and not care if we don't like about them? About the Death Riders? He said, I thought this was kind of interesting. I've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than John Moxley, and I'll be damned if a fucking CZW guy will ever be smarter than an ECW guy. That's a shot. Somebody explain to me what's going on here. I don't agree with everything Bully Ray says, but I like that. That Bubba Ray was like, okay, you're telling people if they don't like it to just like it. What the fuck,
Yeah, I will never be in favor of that mindset from anybody.
Yeah. I want to point out this quote too from another podcast thing. Jericho saying, I always love the concept of the Jericho vortex and how anybody that works with me gets dragged down. Name one person that got dragged down from working with me. Maybe afterwards they didn't go higher, but that's not up to me. I'm not in charge of the booking the entire company. All I can do is influence the storylines that I work on. I can't necessarily say this person was like worse off by being immediately with Jericho, like that during the feud the person went down, but I think that that's just another revisionist thing from Jericho where it's like, dude, you can admit that you didn't set some people up well. But you don't want to because you're, look at who he voted for and shit. Logic doesn't apply to a lot of people. And especially when it's held accountable for your own ego and bullshit.
Now, I will grant you, I do think it is slightly revisionist, but I will also offer the small defense that I think a lot of what's happening now, a lot of the backlash towards Jericho is directly related to exactly what you just said. And people are making it even worse than it already was. Where, like, I'm not saying it was great before, but, like, now people are just like, he's the fucking, he's the worst. And it's like, okay, that's not necessarily true, but we can also admit Action Andretti's on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks disappeared.
Sammy Guevara is on Ring of Honor and having to work his way back up a bunch of times.
That I'll defend Jericho on. I don't know if that one's Jericho's fault.
I don't know if it's his fault, but he's somebody that he worked extensively with that didn't end up getting to the spot that he should have been. It's not a win in his column. Let's put it that way. Who's
another one he worked with?
Orange Cassidy, but at the same time, Orange Cassidy's been boosted up through everybody else.
I'll make this argument against Jericho. There are the people he worked against. Let's talk about the people he teamed up with.
Yeah.
Hager, gone. Santana, gone. Sammy Guevara, Ring of Honor. What's their names? Danny Garcia and 2.0. Not as high as they should be, arguably. So, again, he doesn't have the best track record. And it doesn't do Jericho any favors, at least to me, that he constantly steers into the skid and makes it seem like he's embracing the worst criticisms of himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I only had one other topic in mind to talk about. So, I guess I'll just say it. Elias is apparently joining up with the Righteous.
I did see that. I don't know. Does that mean he's going to Ring of Honor? Or did he just do? By the way, Tubi. I'm using the Tubi app for the first time ever. This thing appears to be broken, but we'll deal with that more as Evolve comes around. Elias or Elijah. I wish he would pick a different name. I like it, actually. I watched the video package and I kind of like it. It works more than you would think.
He should have been Eli A. Samson.
Or he could have just been... I was trying to think of a pun of Samson and Delilah.
Period Elias.
I was trying to think of a pun of Samson and Delilah, and I thought Samson Elias. By the way, just because again I'm just scrolling here. If you ever want to watch any of the movies featuring Hulk Hogan, they're all on Tubi. Okay. Three Ninjas with Hulk Hogan. That's there.
Rewatched that a couple weeks ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I mean, it's as awful as you can anticipate.
No, but I like the idea of Elias of the Righteous. I think it's a really good deal. I wish Jake the Snake was still with the Righteous. That's a really good pairing that I wish Jake was healthier and able to do more with. I'll run through some Dynamite stuff because we didn't cover AEW TV. Solid show. Moved one step closer to Grand Slam by having they set up. It's going to be Edge and Switchblade against Mox and Claudio. That should be a lot of fun. Harley Cameron still walking around with her Mercedes Muppet.
Yeah, I like the puppet. I like the puppet more than Mercedes.
They're working towards their Australian angle, which I like. Tony Storm is now playing Mariah May, which is where they should have gone beforehand, but we're working backwards, I guess, whatever. I like that angle. I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world like some people do, but I like that angle. Any bits and pieces stand out from Dynamite for you?
I thought it was a pretty like basic show, like some decent matches.
Oh, the Guns came back.
Slow angle things and some things that I was just like, that is what it is. Like kind of the same with like Raw and like, like this week, a lot of that stuff. NXT was the most like impactful show, I thought. And even then we ran through most of that.
I thought Raw was the most impactful show, which that's interesting. Yeah, I thought the Guns coming back was strong. I wish if they're back, why aren't they with Switchblade? But I'll let that go. Yeah, but solid episode of AEW Dynamite overall. Nobody watches Ring of Honor. So
the worst part of Dynamite this week, I thought, was the MJF stuff, which is like becoming a thing.
Well, I kind of got the feeling that like his character reached its ceiling there, and I'm not liking MJF feuding with Double J. They did do an interesting thing with Hangman, where he seems like he's maybe feeling some remorse, but also trying to be a badass still and be like, I don't care that I retired Christopher Daniels, but you can see that it is actually bothering him. So be interesting to see where that goes. I'm not a fan of the MJF stuff. MJF versus Dustin is cool because of the Cody ties. It's a good for a one-off match. By the way, Dynamite's on Tuesday, so it'll be going head-to-head with NXT.
No, it's airing on Wednesday, isn't it?
No, Dynamite's on Tuesday.
I thought that they were recording it on Tuesday, but airing it on Wednesday.
Well, but they were saying Tuesday too. Maybe. I don't know. Well, and then never mind what I said.
It might be. I don't know. It's one way or another. It's either happening on Tuesday or it's happening on Tuesday and airing on Wednesday. But either fashion is not happening live on Wednesday. Let's put it that way.
And a bit of breaking news here from Fightful Select. Kevin Owens has signed a new contract with WWE.
Awesome.
He made the joke on Twitter that he promises to keep wrestling as long as you buy his daughter's Girl Scout cookies for another 4 years, 11 months, 22 days, meaning he recently signed a 5-year contract. So perhaps Kevin Steen AEW, not likely to happen anytime soon.
And I'm more than okay with that.
And that's your hot tags.
I don't know what I'm going to do for the thumbnail yet. We'll figure that out. But yeah, I mean, it's a round of the hot tags. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, everyone. Tell us what you thought about all these things. Get your thoughts about what we should do for next couple episodes or so. Like next episode, we got to do the Vengeance Day predictions. And, we still kind of need to figure out something for the Darkcast. So week after that, kind of up in the air for around the 19th. Taking suggestions of what you guys want for that too. Everything else, of course, you find on the link tree, amangotree.com. Smark Out Moment stuff, Fanboys Anonymous stuff. Find me at Tony Mango on most places. And follow Rob too.
Yep, follow me over at Dude Felice. Check out my work on Fightful.com. And I appreciate all of you, and I always want to throw it to Callum when he's not here, and that always trips me up.
And Callum will fill us in a little bit on some kind of fantasy league stuff in the future. We're going to try to sort that out a little bit. But go to WWEFantasyLeague.com for any of those kind of updates. And that's going to do us in for this episode. So thank you for listening to everybody. We will see you next time. But adios for now. This has been another Smark Out Moment. And we're being counted out.